Mark, I'll start with probably the one negative heading into the weekend, Ben House not being available. I guess it's the chance though for whoever it is to make the step up.
Yeah, 100%. Look, bitterly disappointed to lose Ben. He's had an outstanding season. What he offers us in and out of possession and is phenomenal. He's chatting to Teddy about it after the game tonight. We were chatting to David McGoldrick and we were talking about Ben and we were talking about him out of possession, and Teddy was like, "It's the best I've ever seen." I was like, "It's the best I've ever seen." He's unbelievable. And also, you know, when you play up front, you're paid to score goals. He's got some really big goals for us this year. I keep saying I just want him to celebrate more. But it gives other people an opportunity. The lads are in a really good place. The biggest compliment I want to pay or would like to pay the group is how they train every day, whether they're in and out of the team. And I said it the other night, it's the best group I've worked with, the togetherness and, you know, no egos, nobody's selfish, everybody's selfless. And so it gives somebody else an opportunity. Disappointed for Ben, but it gives somebody else an opportunity. And as staff, we're very comfortable with what we've got to choose from.
And the fact that there's nobody really like for like in terms of Ben's build, does that mean you're going to have to slightly adjust the way you go for Saturday?
That's a really good question. You know, no. I understand what you say. The principles of how we do things and what we want to do won't change, and we've definitely got the ability to bring in people who are more than capable of executing our game plans. But I understand he's a really good size, he's quick, he's tough, he's robust. He's so quiet, it's untrue, but he's somebody I wouldn't want to fight with.
6 months on, roughly, since you last played Portsmouth, it's always a good way of looking at the progression or whatever you see from your side. How do you see the change from the game at Portsmouth that you played away from home to heading into this weekend in terms of how your side's developed?
Do you mean the team we're playing against or us?
Yourself, yeah.
When we went to Portsmouth, you know, at that point in the season it was only the second game, but we'd spent the whole pre-season being a really aggressive front-footed attacking team, and we actually went there with we were 4-3-3 but with a mid-block, and it worked really well, and we closed lanes down. Then we had a large period of season where we became a mid-block team with playing 3-4-3, and then I would say in the last 3 or 4 games we've definitely, there's been a huge emphasis on getting back to how we were. So I think the team, to answer your question, I think we've adapted to different games and different situations, different periods of the season in terms of who we were playing. Against Bristol, Accrington, we were very, very front foot aggressive. Just no way we're going to Derby and doing that. It would have been madness. So I think every game's different. To answer your question, Rob, I think we've shown a real flexibility to mix and match both.
I've just been speaking to Paulie O'Connor, and he was talking about the belief the defence have going into every game that they're not going to concede goals. Do you sense that around the training ground? Do you sense that on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, because it's just evidenced daily. And an example of that, I'll give you an example of it. Apologies, I've got a shocking habit of going off. I'm not going off, it's my way of answering the question, so I am, but I'm going to give you a different situation. I spoke to Clive before the Cambridge game, and I was talking about several players, and I was like, Jack Diamond's back to his best, and we played against Cambridge, and Jack was just okay. But if you look at his performances, or use Derby tonight, he was outstanding. And the point I was trying to make is it doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. But if you train the way you train, normally the outcome will be there, or the process is done, and you normally get the end result. So I feel in terms of your question, the defensive side, because I see it constantly and I see it daily, not just through games, there's a huge belief in how we do things. The players just have to take all the credit for it. But there is a plan, there's a lot of work goes into it. You know, we did a 15-minute presentation with the lads post analysis on the Derby game, and it was all about defensive movements, principles, triggers, and it was just really impressive to watch. But it's the lads that are doing it, they deserve all the credit, because, you know, if you ask any coach what's the one thing you want with a player, for me it wouldn't be raw pace, technical ability, leadership, you know, credible in the air, athleticism. It'd be somebody who's coachable. and we've got a coachable group of players, and they listen, they take on board, and they execute very well.
In terms of Portsmouth this weekend, and aside in and around you in the table, does that make that game bigger because you've got a chance of closing that gap of getting closer than it does some of the other games?
Yes, look, we want to win every game. But, I think there's more emphasis, especially when you're at home. There's been a little bit more made of the fact that we've drawn so many at home, which I'm comfortable with. I agree with it, but it doesn't affect my mindset. Portsmouth are a top 10 team. I think they probably would have expected, I'm going to guess, to be in the playoffs this year. John's got a brilliant reputation as a coach. He's already come in and had an instant impact. I don't think too much will change in how their style will be against us. I think clearly it has changed already, but it's just impossible to completely reinvent something in 4 or 5 games. So I think there will be changes in how they play, but I still think it won't be that far off what it was. So I would hope we'll be well prepared for that. But we're coming up against a top side with a fantastic young head coach. They've got really, really good individual players, and I think they've got a really good experience in the team as well. So, we're expecting a really tough day. But like every other game, we're expecting to go and win the game. That's what we're trying to do.
I know you talk about staying in your lane and concentrating on your job, and you be concentrating on what happens on the pitch. But the news off the pitch this week, more investment into the football club, with the couple of the investors coming this weekend and against Forest Green as well. It must feel as a head coach out you're in a forward-thinking football club at the moment. Yeah,
100%. It's what really attracted me to the club in the first place. The one thing the club always, the board members, Clive, the board, Liam in particular, is such a pivotal part of the club, is they always talk about being custodians of the club and not egotistical, wealthy fans, if you like, that think they can come in and play a game. Incredibly respectful and mindful that they're custodians of the club at the minute and what's best for the club. So all I've ever seen from board meetings and hours of conversations is a group of people that are so passionate about Lincoln as a club and the people of Lincoln, and they've never once said anything to me, or I've heard any of them say anything other than a sentence or a statement or a thought process on doing what's best for Lincoln and not themselves or anybody else. And I imagine that would be quite unique in a lot of football clubs. And knowing the board and Clive and the people that run the club and run it so well, I'd be super confident that whoever they bring in to work alongside them and be part of the Lincoln family, if you like, will be very similarly motivated people to themselves. So personally, I don't know the guys, obviously, but I can only see it as a huge plus and another example of how the club's looking to move forward and take it to the next step.
Yeah, and they spoke yesterday to us, and Harvey Trevara spoke last week to us about making Lincoln City sustainable. I'm sure as a head coach you've got an extra £1 million in your transfer budget or your wage budget, but actually does that make not necessarily life easier, but it's easy to cope with the fact that you've not suddenly got the pressure if we're giving you X amount of pounds to go and get the players that you think are going to take Lincoln to the Championship?
No, look, I'd have, if the board came to me and said there's £10 million and if you don't get promoted you're going to get sacked, I'd absolutely love that and I could think of nothing better. So I'd hugely embrace that kind of pressure. That I couldn't think of anything better. But what I really care about as well is the sustainability of the club. And I was chatting to Jim, one of our directors, about it today. I signed for Wolves in 2001 and they spent a fortune on 5 or 6 of us, like a huge sum of money, on what were supposed to be big players to get us promoted. And I got to the training ground and I was like, where is the training ground? It was just a field. And as a player I thought, you've done this all wrong. You know, you should build a training ground. And they've got that now and it's brilliant. So the reason I'm saying that is I think first and foremost the club look at how to run a club well, how to run it properly, to make sure at the end of the season we're not in serious debt, and gives us a great opportunity to gradually build in small blocks and build forward. And I think the club should be very proud of the fact that they do that. You know, they don't just throw willy-nilly figures and sums to get promoted. And by the way, that doesn't work. I can reel off, well, a list as long on my arm of clubs that have done that, and it doesn't always work. There might be one success story out of X amount of money. So I think the key to it, to me, is that there won't be. I don't know every club, so apologies. I'm sure there's great clubs in the league, but I can't imagine there's many better run than us.